I didn't think I would talk about the race massacre in Tulsa, Oklahoma, because I addressed it on Friday. And of course, yesterday was I don't want to call it an anniversary, but marks 100 years since the race massacre began in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I wasn't going to talk about it. And of course, Joe Madison addressed it, the phenomenal Larry Favors addressed it. But then I heard something that just shook up my soul from the mayor of Tulsa, Oklahoma, Mayor G.T. Bynum. He was on Tiffany Cross's show over the weekend, and I saw a clip that surfaced of Mayor G.T. Bynum saying that he is against reparations for the victims, the descendants of the Tulsa massacre. Listen to this clip of the current mayor, Republican mayor, G.T. Bynum, talking to Tiffany Cross.
With you specifically, the Bynum family, as I'm sure you know, enslaved nearly 1,000 people. And you inherited that wealth from the family, where the African Americans here in the community had their wealth taken from them. So when you say no cash payouts, I think people look at it and say, well, wow, you inherited wealth, you inherited your position in life because of enslaving people who look like me. How do you reconcile saying, yeah, but that was then, and we don't owe you anything for that now?
Because you're asking me about reparations for an event that was a criminal act 100 years ago.
Right, but something that your family benefited from, the system of enslavement, of systemic racism. So can you imagine how the descendants of the enslaved look at your position in life compared to their own, and hear you say, well, no, cash payouts make people uncomfortable? I assume you mean the white people of Tulsa and people who...
All right. Let me just make sure y'all heard that. The mayor of Tulsa, Oklahoma, G.T. Bynum, is against reparations for the Tulsa massacre 100 years ago. What was also said in that clip is that Mayor Bynum's family owned over 900 human beings by the 1860s. 900 human beings Mayor Bynum's family owned by the 1860s. Let's also be clear that Mayor Bynum comes from a legacy of political power in Tulsa, Oklahoma. He is the great-great-grandson of Robert Newton Bynum, who was mayor from 1899 to 1900, who was also alive during the Tulsa Race Massacre. So for all we know, allegedly, reportedly, you never know. Who knows if the Bynum family was involved in this massacre in any capacity? I'm not saying that's the case, but just who knows? Then Robert LaFortune, what a name, Bynum's grandfather, was the mayor from 1970 to 1978. Then his uncle, Bill LaFortune, was the mayor of Tulsa, Oklahoma from 2002 to 2006. And this is a man who's against reparations for the descendants of the Tulsa massacre. But let's break it down. His family, allegedly, reportedly, according to NBC Black, owned 900 people, 900 human beings by the 1860s. I'm a Black Studies major. I'm degreed in Black Studies. Let's break it down. In the 1860s, the average price of an enslaved person was $500. That was the worth of an enslaved person. The average worth in the 1860s was approximately $500. All right? So that means, let's just take, I think the exact number was 931. Let's go a little lower. That means approximately 900 people his family owned. What is 900 times 500? That equals $450,000 of human property that the Bynum family owned. Do you know what that equals to today? $450,000 in 1860 equals $14 million today. $14 million today. So you mean to tell me you are a descendant of somebody, of a family that came from such epic wealth, then 3 people in your family become mayors, and you are against reparations? When there's reportedly documentation of your family owning 900 human beings. I mean, this is a direct correlation. It can't be any clearer. We have slavery, and reportedly, his family came to the United States of America, this country, in the 1600s. So they accumulated all this wealth. So we have literally a colonizer, a family of colonizers. They come here, they're here for hundreds of years. They end up owning over 900 people. Let's be clear, the majority of slave owners in the South, I think it's, I could have the number wrong here. I believe that only 10% of slave owners own more than 20 some people. So we're talking about, this is like the Bill Gates of slavery at this point in Oklahoma. $450,000 just of human property. That doesn't mean the free labor. That doesn't take into account the other ways they profited. And the legacy goes so far that your family has power in this town, and your family, who knows? I don't know. They may have helped to create the environment that would have these white terrorists burn down an entire thriving Black neighborhood. And you yourself, you are against reparations. The colonizing audacity for you to be against reparations, Mayor Bynum. That's just disgusting. You should be giving reparations out of your own pocket. You and your family should be dishing out cash payments out of your own pocket because you profited off of Black labor. You come from a legacy of wealth. He is 43 years old, and he is the mayor of Tulsa, Oklahoma. Nepotism, wealth, generational wealth. So as I'm sitting here commemorating and trying to put into words and thinking about the ancestors, I have a friend of mine who's a direct descendant of the Tulsa Race Massacre, and to hear him say that to a Black woman, that no, you do not deserve reparations because it was a crime. It was a crime. Slavery was a crime against humanity. Enslaving people. And listen, I'm sure once emancipation comes, those 900 people the Bynum family owned by 1860, I doubt when they were free, they were just living their best life. I doubt y'all gave them some money. More than likely, they were forced into sharecropping, and their exploitation continued. But this is where we are. The mayor of a town that has been dealt immense racism is against reparations when his family were reportedly slave owners, and 3 of the men in your family were mayors of this town. One that goes all the way back to 1899. It is so wildly illogical. It is so wildly offensive. And when you put the numbers together, the equivalent of $14 million today, Mayor Bynum was set before he was even born. And your excuse is, oh, well, it was a crime. So what was the endless lynchings in Tulsa, Oklahoma, Tulsa, which was founded by Native Americans? What was your family owning 900 people? Was that not a crime? And how are you going to atone? Reportedly, the mayor's family said they know nothing about, the mayor's office said they don't know nothing about this. Well, there's reportedly documentation. So if it is confirmed, if you finally have to concede that your family did own 900 people, how are you going to atone, Republican mayor of Tulsa? What are you going to do? How are you going to fix that? Are you going to do something to stop, I don't know, critical race theory being banned in your state because of the governor? What exactly are you going to do? See, the problem is that when it comes to our background, most African Americans, you ain't going back but to like 1801, 1770, if you get that far back. But the wealthy elite, the planter elite, as they were once called, you can document them. And you were the planter elite, and you are still the elite. So what? 100 years, there's a do some kind of celebration for them, allegedly commemorate them, celebrate them. What happened? This was a travesty. This was an American disgrace. But what are you going to do? Will the same thing happen another 100 years? You'll have the same, maybe it'll be your great great grandson who's mayor now and still profiting off of the backs of black people who were enslaved. And to be honest with you, call me what you like, I don't think it makes any sense for you to be a mayor of a town if reportedly your family owned 900 people in 1860. That ain't that long ago. We ain't talking about 10,000 years ago. We ain't talking about BC. We ain't talking about 1,000 years ago. 1860, 900 people. The average price of a human being being $500 a piece. That's insanity. Because much of this isn't really about our feelings. It's about history and economics. Generational wealth and economics. That's what it's about. See, if Reconstruction, for those that know what Reconstruction is, after the Civil War ends, there was this thing called Reconstruction to repair what this country did, giving black folks land that they built. But that was all taken away. If Reconstruction would have been successful, we may not be here right now. But some folks in power didn't like to see, wow, these black folks are succeeding. They're doing something. So you know what they did? They actually gave cash payments to the white planter elite who lost their slaves, who lost their enslaved people, who lost their property. They gave them cash payments. If you lost your property, you were given cash payments as reparations because you owned people and you lost them because you lost a freaking war because you lost a war. And these United States took care of the people who lost their wealth. So hell, for all we know, the mayor of Tulsa, G.T. Bynum, his family could have also got reparations. Mayor G.T. Bynum's family has literally profited from government handouts for hundreds of years in this country. And you are against reparations.